All right, it is 5:30. We will call the July 7th Planning Commission meeting to order. Do we have anybody on the phone today?
Yeah.
See if they man. All right, well, we'll get started, and if they join us, they join us. So we'll call the roll, please.
Barnett,
Here.
Bauman, Bullinger,
Yes.
Demakis,
Yep.
Gates,
Here.
Hochhalter,
Here.
Coop, here. Leiter,
Here.
Nesdal Zietz,
Here.
Offerdahl,
Present.
Severson, Wegenist.
Yes.
You have a quorum.
All right, rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, move on to approval of the June 2nd meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve.
Motion by Coop. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Barnett. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying, or call the roll, I'm sorry.
Barnett,
Different meeting.
Yes.
Bauman, Bullinger,
Yes.
Demakis,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Hochhalter,
Yes.
Coop,
Yes.
Leiter,
Yes.
Nesdal Zietz,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
Severson, Wegenist.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, first item of business, fourth item on the agenda is a subdivision rezone regarding Swenson's Edition lots 1 and 2. That's a request by the Souris River Joint Board and Ackerman Estival to represented by Nathan Amick and Charles and Sandra Swenson owners. Souris River Joint Board is purchasing proposed lot 1 to construct a levee as part of the Mouse River Flood Control Project. The Swensons are retaining ownership of proposed lot 2. There's also a rezone from AG Ag to RA Agriculture Residential for both of the lots. This property is located at the corner of 5th Avenue Southwest and 37th Street Southwest. Turn over to staff for the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here's a vicinity map. This is in the 2-mile jurisdiction on the west side of town. It's right west of Tierracita Vallejo subdivision. And the roads just kind of peter out there at 37th or the 5th Avenue Southwest. And you can see on this slide, there's a proposed levee. This is part of the flood control project for the Mouse River. So that's why we're looking at doing a subdivision and rezoning for this property. Right now, the configuration looks like this on the aerial. The Swenson family owns the larger lot in red and also the triangle lot that's in kind of an orange color. And want to reconfigure that common lot line to look like this. The levee, as you can recall, kind of straddles the line to some degree. So the levee is actually going to be on a little bit on both lots. What happened?
There it is. It's back. Go ahead.
I don't have enough. We got to restart these.
Oh,
These are actually two outlots that exist, and the lot line is going to be adjusted between them. Lot 1 is the larger lot, 13 acres. It'll be rezoned from agricultural to P for public, since it's going to be used for the public purpose of the levee. And that's the lot that SRJB, the Souris River Joint Board, is going to buy. The smaller lot, lot 2, will be retained by the Swensons. It's 4.64 acres, and it'll be zoned RA, agricultural residential. Neither one of the tracts are big enough to stay zoned ag because they're not 20 acres. There's a zoning map that's ag now. The comprehensive plan shows it as low-density residential, which I think is okay in that floodplain area to keep that way. Having technical difficulties today. can get this to advance. Oh, here we go. There's the plat. There is a 32-foot utility and drainage easement along the west side of the smaller lot. It's kind of hard to see. It's actually hashed in here on the drawing, but it's kind of light. So, findings of fact, the applicant submitted a complete application. The request is consistent with the comp plan, meets the bulk requirements of the zoning ordinance, and this property needs to be further subdivided and rezoned to meet the needs of the Mouse River Flood Protection Program. Also, we have requirements we have to meet for noticing and posting for a public hearing so that we can be within the requirements of both the state and local laws, and we have met those requirements, so we can have a public hearing tonight. The recommendation is to adopt staff findings and approve with the following recommendations. This is really boilerplate stuff, but it's talking about, I don't want to read it all, but basically saying that the city engineer has to accept the plat before it can be recorded at the county recorder's office, and he has to review it, he or she, whatever the case would be, would have to review it and make sure it complies with all the technical portions of the ordinance, and then they sign off on it and it can be recorded. So with that as a presentation, I would be glad to answer any questions that you have.
Commissioner, have any questions for staff? All right, hearing none, we're back to business as usual. So we will open the public hearing on this. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on behalf of the application? Is there anybody who wishes to speak on behalf or against to the application?
Good evening, Chairman Demekus. My name is Ryan Ackerman. I serve as the administrator for the Search River Joint Board. Just a couple of things I want to clarify. There's some slight, I believe, errors or misprints or whatever in the documents. Want to be clear that the intent is to zone the western lot as P, public, not RA, and the eastern lot, which will be retained by the Swensons, will be the RA zoning. Additionally, the levy is wholly located on the west lot. There's not any portion of the levy that's on the east lot at all. So.
Oh, that was my mistake.
No.
My understanding was that it was on both. But.
No, it's wholly on the western lot, and the source of that miscommunication, if you will, is the use of an older levy footprint in the city's GIS. So, just wanted to make that clarification. Take any questions if there are any.
Any questions from the board for Mr. Ackerman? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate the clarification. Anybody else who wish to speak on this agenda item? All right, seeing none, we will close public hearing and turn it over to the commission.
Move to approve based on staff finding of facts and recommendations.
Motion by Commissioner Coop to approve based on findings, facts, and recommendations. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hochhalter. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Barnett,
Yes.
Bauman,
Yes.
Bollinger,
Yes.
Demekus,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Hochhalter,
Yes.
Coop,
Yes.
Leiter,
Yes.
Nesdal Zietz,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
Severson, and Wagonest.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Very good. The next item on the agenda is another subdivision and rezoning. This is regards to lot subdivision and rezone Lot 3, the Bluff 7th Edition, and an unplatted portion of the southwest quarter of the northeast quarter, Section 6, 154 North, 83 West. This application by Randy Conway to create one lot residential subdivision by adding acreage to an existing lot. And rezoning from R1, single-family residential, and AG, agricultural, to RA, agriculture residential. The street address is 4260 27th Street Southeast. Staff, we will turn it over to you for a report.
Yes, sir. Here is a location map. This is in the 2 mile. It's right south of the country club. That big chunk of land above it you see on the slide is actually golf course. This is a large residential lot Here you can see on the aerial the golf course and everything better, but there's an existing lot that's platted and shown with a green outline, and then the owner has an opportunity to pick up another approximately 4 acres in the yellow outline and add it in and make it all one big lot. And the zoning you'll see is still agricultural for the 4-acre piece, and the existing lot zoned R1. It's a little bit misleading because you see big chunks of R1 here, but that's the golf course lot for the most part, that big lot is. And those subdivisions you see kind of sneaking in on the left and the top are on the other side of the golf course, so they're urban in nature and they can be served by city services, where on the south side it's not that way. So that's why there's a lot of RA in the subdivisions to the south and off to the east. So staff felt it more appropriate for it to be zoned RA. So that's what we proposed, and the owner accepted that the lot would be zoned RA. That also allows for keeping the horses if they happen to want to do that. This land is actually, the 4 acres is actually a pretty steep slope. It's not necessarily usable. I'm not sure why the owner wanted it, maybe just to preserve views or something like that. The comprehensive plan shows it as very low density residential, which is appropriate. And the plat looks like this. When they're both combined together, there ends up being 26.65 acres of land. So for findings of fact, we have a complete application consistent with comprehensive plan, future land use map. The subdivision meets all the bulk requirements, lot sizes and that kind of thing for the zoning ordinance. And then the kind of boilerplate language that we have met all the technical requirements for noticing and posting to hold a public hearing tonight. Recommendations, staff's recommending that the Planning Commission adopt staff findings of fact and recommend approval subject to conditions. Number 1, no development as a result of the subdivision shall obstruct any water course or divert surface water flows. And then the second one, again, that technical caveat about the city engineer approving the plat before it gets recorded at the Register of Deeds office. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Any questions for staff on the report? All right, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on behalf of this agenda item? Anybody who wishes to speak against or for this agenda item? All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and I will turn it over to the commissioners for their so choosing.
Motion to approve based on the finding of facts and staff recommendations.
Motion by Commissioner Offedall to approve based on staff findings of fact and recommendations. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Coop. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, we will call the roll.
Barnett,
Yes.
Bauman,
Yes.
Bullinger,
Yes.
Demakis,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Oakalter, Coop,
Yes.
Leiter,
Yes.
Nesdal Zietz,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
Severson, and Wagonest.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Very good. The next item on the agenda is a subdivision. Request by Keith Blums and Ackerman Estival to combine existing lots 10 and 11 of Bel Air 14th Edition into one lot to be known as Bel Air 25th Edition. These properties are located at 504 27th Street Northwest. Turn it over to staff for the report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here's a location map. This is at the corner of 27th Street Northwest and 5th Avenue. This is a really straightforward proposal. Basically, my understanding is the owner wants to build a detached garage. The property now is contained in 2 lots. So you see the yellow lot and the overall green lot. They want to be consolidated because you cannot have an accessory building on its own lot. As an accessory use, it has to have a primary use to exist. So if these are combined together, then they can build their garage. Zoned R1, that's certainly appropriate for single family. The comprehensive plan is low density residential, that's appropriate. And here's the subdivision with the lots consolidated into one. It's about 375 square feet, which is well above the 9,500 square feet that will be required for a corner lot in R1 zoning. So, findings of fact, a complete application consistent with the land use plan of the land use map of the comp plan, meets all bulk requirements, and again, we've legally noticed and published and what we had to do to have this public hearing tonight. Recommendations, staff recommends the commission adopt staff findings and recommend approval of the rezoning and subdivision, or the subdivision, I'm sorry, subject to following conditions. Number one, no development as a result of the subdivision shall obstruct any water course or divert surface water flows. Number two, sidewalks shall be installed on 27th Street Northwest. And the second part of that is sidewalks shall be installed on 5th Avenue Northwest when the street is improved to an urban section in the future. And number three is our technical caveat that the engineer needs to make sure it meets the ordinance requirements and sign off on it before it can be recorded at the recorder's office. So with that, I would be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for staff?
This is Commissioner Bauman, and I just wanted to chime in and say thank you to staff for following through with the development of sidewalk and making sure that we are connecting walkability and access through the communities as we kind of continue to review all of the land, and basically just good job. Wanted to say thanks for that.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, other questions or comments for staff? All right, there being none, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on behalf of this agenda item? Or anybody who wishes to speak on behalf or against the agenda item? All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing and turn it over to the commission. Is there
Make a
any
motion to approve make a motion to approve based on finding of facts and staff recommendations.
motion by Commissioner Offedall to approve based on findings, fact, and recommendations? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Bauman, second.
Second by Commissioner Coop, I believe.
Feed him to it.
Any discussion? All right, we'll call the roll.
Barnett,
Yes.
Bauman,
Yes.
Bollinger, Demakis,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Hochhalter,
Yes.
Coop, Leiter,
Yes.
Nesdal Zietz,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes. Yes.
and Wagonest.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Very good. The next item on tonight's agenda is a proposed subdivision variance and zone change in regards to Trinity Health 3rd Edition. This is an application by Central Power Electric Cooperative for a zone change from agricultural to public zone and a two-lot subdivision plat to create a lot for a new electrical substation to provide redundant electrical service to the new Trinity Hospital site, along with capacity for future development activity in Southwest Minot. In addition, a variance to zoning requirements is requested to waive the requirement to pave the parking lot at the substation. Property is located at Lot 1, Trinity House 2nd Edition to the city of Minot, which is directly to the south of where the new hospital is going up. We'll turn it over to staff for the report.
Yes, sir. So here's the vicinity map. The large lot to the north of the shaded lot is where Trinity's the main hospital's being built. So this is directly south, and then off to the left side of the slide, you'll remember the Southwest Crossing retirement community that came through the commission a few months ago. That crossing street southwest dead ends into this lot, and the little lot down in the corner is where the substation's going to go. So the aerial here, this is a 2015 aerial, so it doesn't even show the hospital being started commencing construction yet, but that big lot towards the top is the hospital lot. The hospital also owns the area in blue. Central Power is going to go on the 3-acre lot in the corner and build the substation there. The purpose is to provide redundant electrical power to the hospital and also to serve this area because it's on the fringe of development, and over time there'll be a lot of exciting things happening down there, and they'll need electrical service. The zoning to the west is kind of a mixture of residential, and then to the south and to the east it's undeveloped, so it's all basically ag right now. The little lot, the smaller lot, the 3-acre lot with the substation will be zoned public since it's going to be for utility use. The larger lot, the hospital will retain ownership of, and it will remain ag because it is 29 acres in size. One of the concerns from engineering and planning was that crossing street southwest that dead ends into the site on the west side needs to continue through the site. We want to make sure we have through east-west access across the parcel, and you'll see in the recommendations we have something regarding that. The public part of it, which is the smaller lot, public zone, is required to comply with C2 general commercial requirements for development. So they have submitted a landscape plan. They're going to plant pine trees around the perimeter of the site. Also, there's a requirement that the building be built of certain approved materials, but in this case, the building is very small, and it's just a little utility hut. It's less than 120 square feet, so it doesn't require a building permit. It will be constructed of that kind of exposed aggregate looking material, which is pretty typical of utility buildings and not necessarily unattractive, but we can't enforce the design characteristics or requirements on 120 square foot or less building. The other thing that ties back into the commercial zoning is in section 23-6, it states, except in the Ag, RA, R1, and R2 districts, a parking lot or motorized vehicle storage area must be hard surfaced so as to be free of dust and mud. Materials such as decorative rock, gravel, sand, or bare soil are prohibited as acceptable materials for paving. The applicants requested a variance from the paving requirement. This is a comp plan, and in this case, you know, everything hasn't developed yet, so we're not going to change anything. We'll probably look at that with the comp plan update. And here's the plat. Shows the access road coming down along the west edge to provide access to the substation. So this peak area is the area of the variance, which would be parking and maneuvering for the substation. And the applicant has presented justification for requesting the variance. I can read you what they said. It says Central Power Electric Cooperative, Inc. is requesting a variance to the hard surface parking space requirement. This variance request is being presented for 3 reasons under the premise of practical difficulty. Number 1, the size, weight, and type of equipment used to deliver and set transformers and other equipment includes the use of track-driven equipment inside and outside the fenced area. Once offloaded, this equipment turns and pivots most optimally on a gravel-type surface, not on paving. Number 2, once the substation is constructed and operational, there will typically only be a single vehicle or a couple of vehicles parked on site once per month for routine substation checks. The only exception to this would be emergencies or equipment failure needing repair, either on the transmission or distribution equipment. Number 3, the access road to the facility, along with the fenced area of the substation property, will be graveled and crushed rock. The requirement of hard surface parking area would place a concrete pad island of about ½ an acre between the access road that's graveled and the substation, which is crushed rock. For these reasons, it is a request of Central Power Electrical Cooperative, Inc. to receive a variance from the requirement of hard surface parking area to allow gravel surface for best practices and to eliminate practical difficulty. Thank you sincerely for your consideration. So I kind of thought about this, I think also a utility substation is kind of unique. I mean, it's not an apartment complex or a commercial building or anything like that. And number 6, in the past, we really haven't required paving in these type situations unless there was regular deliveries or that kind of thing. So I listed the 6 things here. It's unique and distinct. The equipment is not well suited to paving. The use of the parking is sporadic, and no customers are going to be coming here. It's only going to be employees. The access road is not paved as well. So findings of fact, the applicant submitted a complete application. The request is consistent with potential residential use in the future. As things move forward, we may end up amending the comp plan, but we're not at this time. This request meets all the bulk requirements of the zoning ordinance, and the applicant has requested a variance to the hard surface requirements for parking and has identified justifications for the requested variance. Number 5, again, we've met the notice and publication, posting and whatnot so that we can hold this public hearing tonight. Staff recommendations. This is kind of in 2 parts. The first dealing with the subdivision rezoning. No development as a result of the subdivision shall obstruct any water course, excuse me, or divert surface water flows. Number 2, a development agreement between Trinity Health Systems and the city shall be prepared. That deals with the larger lot that Trinity still owns, by the city engineering department, executed by all parties, approved by council, and recorded at the recorder's office before the final plat is recorded. At a minimum, this agreement shall contain the following elements. A, no construction will be permitted on Lot 2 of Trinity Health 3rd Edition until Crossing Street Southwest right-of-way is extended across the lot to the east property line. B, a stormwater management plan is required. C, public sidewalks are required as part of the right-of-way dedication. And then we have this language about the engineer reviewing the plat for technical requirements before it gets recorded, which is standard for the subdivision. And then the second kind of part of the recommendations deals with the variance. Staff further recommends the Planning Commission adopt the staff findings of fact and approve the request for a variance to paving requirements due to exceptional practical difficulties as follows. The variance to the requirement for hard surface parking of the substation parking lot based on exceptional practical difficulty and past protocol when compared with other similar facilities. The substation is distinct from typical land development types. It does not provide direct service to customers, so there's no need for parking for customers. Only employees park at the substation on a sporadic basis, approximately once per month, limited to 1 or 2 vehicles at a time. C, the type of heavy equipment and track vehicles used at this facility are best suited for maneuvering on loose surface such as gravel or rock and not paving. D, there is no requirement to pave the road accessing the facility nor the enclosed yard containing the equipment. Hard surface parking should not be required between these 2 areas where it's not required there. And then E, most other similar substations and utility-related buildings in the past have not been required to pave unless the facility was accessible to the public or receiving routine deliveries to the site. So with that, I would be glad to answer your questions, and I know there's folks here from Central Power too. Have questions for them in the audience.
Are there any questions for staff from the commission? All right, I will open the public hearing then. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on behalf of this agenda item, please come on up.
Good evening, Chair Dominguez, Commissioners. Eric Popping with Central Power here in Minot. Just here to speak in favor of the request. On behalf of Central Power and Trinity Health and our member owner distribution cooperative Verendry Electric, who will be serving the hospital through the distribution system for their facility and for any future load growth in the southwestern part of Minot. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone has at this time.
Are there any questions from the commissioner for Mr. Pavinga? All right, I think we're good right now.
Very good.
We need you, we'll let you know. Is there anybody else in the gallery that wishes to speak on this agenda item, either for or against? All right, seeing none, we'll close public hearing and open it up to the commissioners.
Motion to approve based on staff finding of fact recommendations.
Motion by Commissioner Wagnus to approve based on findings of fact and recommendations. There's a second by Commissioner Coop. Any discussion? Seeing none, we shall call the roll.
Barnett,
Yes.
Bauman,
Yes.
Bullinger, Demekis,
Excuse me, yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Buchalter,
Yes.
Coop,
Yes.
Leiter,
Yes.
Nesdal Zeitz,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
and Wagonest.
Yes.
The motion carries.
You're good. That is the last item of business on the agenda outside of other business, which I still don't see anything. Do we have any other
No.
business, Brian? All right. Then we are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Thanks, everyone.